This is Magpie. This is our 46-foot expedition style sailboat that we are refitting for grand adventure. Today I'm gonna do a countdown of 3 uncommon things that made me want this boat. But first, a little background. I've been sailing my whole life, first on my family's little pocket cruisers in Canada, then as a liveaboard in various American cities with my camera-shy husband in our own first boat. In Boston, a few marina neighbors were getting ready to sail around the world, but I was working on my PhD, so I couldn't go anywhere. But it planted the idea that I might cross oceans one day. We loved our Catalina 34, but it was a tall rig, but a short keel as the counterweight, making it a bit top heavy for the ocean. The short keel did make me appreciate being able to anchor close to shore though. On a friend's boat in the Bahamas, I was struck by how far away from shore cruisers often had to anchor, which is fine in good conditions, but dinghy rides are less fun if there's blowing wind and waves and you're bringing back clean laundry. So that brings us to my countdown. Number 3 of the uncommon things that made me want the lovely Magpie is that inside there, it has a swing keel. When it's down, that gives us a draft of up to 7 feet 9 inches for sailing performance and stability at sea. And when it's up inside there, we can float in just 4 feet 4 inches of water. So we can get into destinations that most 46-foot boats can't explore, and we can like tuck farther up a creek if a hurricane's coming and tie to the mangroves. And I could just sometimes swim to shore if the beach is so close instead of having to take the dinghy. And in fact, the boat can sit right on the beach since it has an unusual flat bottom. That already saved the day once for the previous owners who dealt with an emergency leak far away from help by just finding some nice sand. Okay, number 2 in my countdown of unusual things was for a steel boat. Here's Magpie's original build. Steel can survive an impact much better than common fiberglass hulls because it has not only high strength but high ductility, allowing it to dent instead of shatter. Steel is also less prone to tear and puncture than aluminum and doesn't share aluminum's terrifying ability to hide pitting corrosion. A steel hull can actually last indefinitely if you maintain the paint and keep the bilges dry. Although, you know, that's easier said than done. I started thinking about steel because of a friend who almost lost her fiberglass boat. They were battling giant waves in the Indian Ocean and they hit a shipping container. Yes, like the movie All Is Lost, except they were apparently more resourceful than Robert Redford because they grabbed a power saw and just tore out cabinets to get to the breach. If it had been a steel hull, the odds of withstanding an impact like that might have been improved. Some evidence is the 1982 storm in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico that wrecked about 25 boats. The famous steel ketch Joshua lost its rig, but the hull was recovered from under a pile of fiberglass boats that had been pulverized by the surf, and it's now a living museum piece in France. I heard of a steel sailboat that survived a Somali pirate attack because the machine gun fire just bounced off the hull. It doesn't mean that steel boats are indestructible, but they are the gold standard for strength. And I'm a bit of a chicken. And last but not least, number 1 on the list of things that my little heart desired. I'm wobbling on the ladder. A pilot house. What's a pilot house? Well, I should not be showing you the boat. It's such a mess with about 17 projects going on, but I'll give you just a quick peek. We have a wheel inside. That's a pilot house. So if we have to hand steer in snotty weather, and let's say I'm off watch, then camera shy husband could be at the wheel here, and I could sleep right here in the salon instead of him being on watch outside and me trying to sleep and wondering, like, I wonder if he's still out there or swept away by a wave. We do also have an outside wheel though. A pilot house also means we've got a gorgeous view with wraparound windows. These were a few of the listing photos. Catamarans have big windows too, like our neighbor back there. But I didn't want a catamaran because they're just wow. Sound check for a party. They are just as stable upside down as right way up. And they're tougher to get into marinas. A lot of classic cruisers have tiny little windows, so when you're inside, you have to stand on tiptoes to see out of them. So you might be in a beautiful anchorage, but you wouldn't know it from inside. So I'm gonna have a swing keel to get closer to shore and the strength of a metal hull and great views. And actually those three things are the things that the famous sailor Jimmy Cornell, the founder of the Atlantic Rally for Cruisers, he looked for years for a boat with that combination and he couldn't find it. He specified aluminum, but let's not quibble. He finally approached Garcia Yachts in 2014 to collaborate on a design. He wrote, "This combination is the holy grail of cruising yacht design, and the Garcia Exploration 45 is the first boat to have all three." But I guess it wasn't the first, since Magpie, Toucan at the time, had the winning combination 25 years earlier, which put it in a better price bracket for us. But this boat was ahead of its time because it was custom made by a high-end yard in Belgium, so it was unique. With previous owners, it has done the canals of Europe, the Caribbean, the Panama Canal, and was perfectly well suited to Alaskan ice. When it came on the market in the Sea of Cortez in western Mexico, it seemed like a million miles away from my science career at Princeton University, but it checked every box, so we bought it even though we weren't ready. It took us a couple of years to get our act together, but we managed to retire early and we moved into a camper van to get ourselves here to a vibrant Guaymas, Mexico. And I don't know where we're going, but hopefully it'll involve sailing off into the sunset. In coming episodes, I'll tell you the projects we're tackling to make this boat even stronger and even better. The ultimate ocean cruiser as far as I'm concerned. My husband's kind of horrified by everything that we're doing, but he's a good sport. And that's Magpie. Subscribe to see how it all turns out.